This is the Boston Celtics newsfeed on CLNS. Today is Wednesday, February 21st, 2018. This is Tom Dufton reporting for CLNS, the leading online provider of audiovisual coverage for the Boston Celtics. The All-Star games have come to a close. The Celtics own Kyrie, Irving, and Horford reflect on what their time was like. Irving said, quote, "The pains of what the All-Star game has turned into, I think we all took it kind of personal. The individuals wanted to come out this time and be competitive." End quote. Irving also added, quote, "The fact that you get a chance to see intra-conference rivals, East and West, is pretty awesome because you get the unique opportunity to know people that you don't necessarily get to play against 4 times a year." End quote. Horford opened up about how people felt about the game last year and how different this year was by saying, quote, "Guys are making it a point that they weren't going to let it be a punk fest. Last year and the year before, there was a lot of heat on how bad the game was. But I think this game was good. The guys are really trying to make things right." End quote. Steve Bulpett of the Boston Herald put out an article today that talked about Kyrie Irving's leadership with the Celtics this year. In the article, Coach Brad Stevens was quoted saying, quote, "I think inclusive is a good word. I think he has come in and tried to fit in with everybody, treat everybody well, and he hasn't tried to be a dominant voice. He's just tried to be a really good teammate who soars with his strengths, and I've always thought that's the best way to not only lead, but to also gain the trust of others." End quote. The Celtics will look to return back to the regular season with the final stretch of 20 games, starting off with an away game on Friday against the Detroit Pistons with tip-off at 7 p.m. If you're trying online dating, chances are you've run into lazy text messages, dead-end conversations, and random matches that just don't turn into dates. You can't get to know someone just by looking at a photo. eHarmony takes steps that other dating sites don't in order to find you a more compatible match. This isn't a shallow hookup site. They're looking to help you find lasting, meaningful relationships. eHarmony uses years of science, data, and psychological research to send you the right matches. Right now, our listeners can get a free month with eHarmony when they sign up for a 3-month subscription. Enter our code BostonCeltics at checkout. Stop waiting and start your journey to a satisfying, meaningful relationship. It can be fun to play around with online dating apps, but when you're ready to fall in love with someone and have a meaningful relationship, there's one app that's built to bring you love: eHarmony. Come see how eHarmony can change your life. Go to eHarmony.com and get started. Enter our code BostonCeltics at checkout. In other NBA news, Jimmy Butler from the Minnesota Timberwolves sat out from the All-Star game for some rest. Rumors have been surrounding free agent Derrick Rose going to the Timberwolves to play with Butler again at the request of Butler asking. He addressed this by saying, quote, "That's not my job. Derrick Rose is a hell of a player? Yeah, but that's up to Thibodeau and everybody else to figure out if he has a place on this roster and this team. Obviously, I've played with him before. I know the talent he has. It's not my job to say." End quote. Yesterday, the Charlotte Hornets fired their general manager Rich Cho. He was the GM of the Hornets since 2011. Michael Jordan, who owns the Hornets, said in a press release, quote, "Rich worked tirelessly on behalf of our team and instituted a number of management tools that have benefited our organization. We are deeply committed to our fans and to the city of Charlotte to provide a consistent winner on the court. The search will now begin for our next head of basketball operations who will help us achieve that goal." End quote. After a story came out about Dallas Mavericks front office and how former team president and CEO Terdema Ursary was sexually harassing people during his tenure, the NBA released a statement calling the Mavericks workplace, quote, "completely unacceptable," end quote. The league will be monitoring the investigation against the Mavericks. Until next time, follow CLNS on Twitter at CLNS Media and subscribe to the Celtics newsfeed on both iTunes and Stitcher, as well as CLNS Media Network mobile podcast app. This has been Tom Dufton for the Boston Celtics newsfeed.